So my Hayden mangoes are just about ready to harvest. As you can see, the branches are bent with the weight of these large mangoes, and you can see that they got like a reddish blush on top of them. So they're getting close. But as I was walking by to check this out, I was coming around the corner here and noticed this mango right here on the ground. The raccoons had clearly gotten a hold of it. It's probably one of the lower hanging mangoes. I'm not sure exactly which one it was. Hopefully it was not the squirrels, but based on the damage, it almost looked more like raccoons that got a hold of it. So, but this is my lowest hanging one right here. So I was surprised it wasn't that one, but I think it's raccoons. I hope it's raccoons, because as raccoons, I'll be able to keep them off the tree, and I'll show you how I'm going to attempt to do that. So my solution for protecting the fruit is to use this pot. So this is a pretty big pot, so it's made with sturdy plastic, so I can't just cut this with the utility knife. I do have my Sawzall here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a circle out, a larger circle here, and then cut it down the side, and we'll go from there. I did kind of mark, it's kind of hard to see, but I did mark the width of the trunk up here, because I do want it kind of to be somewhat snug. Okay, so now that I have a way to slip this around the tree, I'm going to make holes up top, because I'm not putting this upside down. I know that's how you usually see the cones that they make for trees. They usually, the larger side is down. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually hang this like this with some holes. The holes will be used to tie this to the branches. And the thinking behind that is because so the raccoons are not going to be able to climb around this. It's too long for them to do that, and plus they'd have to reach around. So I'm going to secure it just like this. Okay, so I got that first hole in there, and that's good enough. I just need something to get a wire through there. I'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Hole's a little too big, but that's fine. I got some duct tape, and I'm gonna get this taped up so it's nice and solid. Okay, so I got it taped up, and as you see, I went ahead and mounted it with the wires. Now this wiring looks kind of funny. I had to improvise because I was using this clothesline wire, and I ran short over here, so I just got some cabling and just wrapped it around, then used that excess clothesline wire to wrap that. So I'm sure you can come up with a better solution. The weakest link in this, I think this should do pretty good, but the weakest link is I did overshoot on my hole. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some rocks in there. That'll help to hold this stable. And if there's any baby raccoons, they're gonna have a hard time pushing through that. But yeah, that was just kind of big. I could see a baby raccoon squeezing through there. So I'm just gonna put these in here and just kind of give it a little bit of weight down, and plus it kind of, maybe this will hold it secure and in place so they're not wiggling it. Another thing I'm going to do is, so this stuff that's hanging low, I'm going to just string it up to, like in this case, this branch here, and then those up there, I'm going to pull them up as well. Okay, so much improved. I've got those fruit lifted off the ground. Now I just need to do some pruning around the tree for this loquat here, and then this tree right here. It's got some branches. So just to make it harder for the squirrels to get to it. Okay, so I pruned back everything around it, although I think squirrels can jump pretty far. So That space I created there between the loquat tree and the mango may not be wide enough. But anyways, at least I'm pretty confident I got this protected from the raccoons. So we'll see what happens. So here we are about 2 weeks later. We've been harvesting a lot of these Haydens. I haven't lost any more of them. So I would say that this little pot contraption here worked. I can't say that this works 100%, and the reason for that is because that Hayden that I found on the ground that was all tore up by raccoons may have just fallen off the tree and the raccoons found it. But due to the fact that I counted it again, I had like 25 mangoes on this, and not one of them has been taken. So here we are in May of 2025, going into mango season. The Hayden mango looks great once again. I'm going to video blog this contraption through another mango season because I want to make sure that it in fact will keep a raccoon from getting to the mangoes. This year I have a trail cam, and so I'm going to be setting it up on this tree. The mangoes are still too small to attract the raccoons in, so I have time to get that set up, but I'll put that on this tree, and I want to see what happens if I can document a raccoon climbing up the trunk and seeing if they can actually get around this pot. I do want to talk about real quick the other measures that I've taken. I've pulled all mangoes up off the ground. As you can see here, this branch had a couple mangoes on it, and I tied it to this upper branch. Same thing with this branch here. I tied it. Not sure where the string is for that one, but 2 of those are tied up, and all the branches are cut high. I like to keep my branches high. That way I can do things like this, put barriers in place to protect the mangoes. The one adjustment I may have to make as these mangoes get larger is they're going to put more weight on this branch, and it's going to lower this branch. So I may have to stake up the branch. Not sure if raccoons will be able to work around that, but we'll see what happens. Here are my trail cam videos. You'll notice that the dates on the bottom are a little mixed up. And the reason for that is because I've grouped these based on some of the patterns I've seen on the videos. So the first set of videos are possums, and they're pretty easy to deter. All you got to do is get the fruit off the ground, and they just don't seem to be too adventurous. The method I use for keeping the fruit off the ground is that I don't have any low branches. I'm able to walk underneath the branches of my trees, and then any of that fruit, once it starts getting ripe and heavy and it starts bending the branches, I'll just stake those up. So I keep my branches high, and then I stake up anything hanging low. And that's good enough for the possums, and you'll see in the videos coming up, that's actually good enough for most of the raccoons that you're going to be dealing with. As you can see, they can smell them, so that's a big draw for the raccoons and the possums. They smell them, and they, as you can see, they're reaching up to see if they can get a hold of them. But they're out of reach, so they're just going to kind of wander around on the ground, and he's going to come up empty-handed. Now for the raccoons. Just like the possums, having the mangoes up high is a really good deterrent. They smell them, and they're going to be reaching up for them. I was really fortunate in this case because the mango wasn't ripe enough, and so it was hard to pull off the tree, so I was able to keep that mango. So while I said I'd like to keep my mangoes high, it is challenging as you get further into the season. The weight of the ripened mangoes really does pull down on the tree. Same thing here. But again, it wasn't ripe enough, so it was hard to pull off. What helped me also is that whenever these are Hayden mangoes and they're ripe, whenever they start to have a little yellow blush on them. And so when any of them got a little bit of yellow on them, I would go ahead and pick them. After lots of trail cam video, I was finally able to get some evidence that this pot actually works to protect the fruit. I thought the raccoon was going to navigate over it, but they didn't. They just saw that obstacle there and they gave up. I would say the combination of having your mangoes off the ground and having some type of obstacle on the trunk to keep them from climbing up the tree is effective for keeping raccoons and possums from getting your mangoes. And also make sure you're picking them so they're not falling off the tree. But I was able to harvest almost 100% of all the mangoes on this Hayden this year. One did fall off, so it overripened and fell off the tree. In conclusion, keep your fruit high, put obstruction on the trunk, and then also pick your fruit before it gets too ripe. That will ensure that you get to eat the mangoes instead of the raccoons and the possums. Thanks for watching, and God bless.